So factoring the numerator, factors of negative 6 whose sum is a negative 5, negative 6, and positive 1. So for this, I'm going to group, pull out 2n, n minus 3, much better, and a 1. You're like, what? Well, you got to pull something out. 1, n minus 3. Because these two things, if you don't have this 1, then basically all you're saying is 2n times n minus 3. And that won't give you this. So it's 2n plus 1, n minus 3 is the factor of your numerator. Okay? The bottom, 4n squared minus 8n minus 5, factors of negative 20 whose sum is a negative 8. So negative 20, 1 and 20, 2 and 10. So positive 2n, negative 10n. I put the 2 by the 4 and the 10 by the 5. 2n, n plus 1. Ooh, look, n plus 1. 2n plus 1, this is mine. And negative 5, 2n plus 1. So you end up with 2n minus 5 and 2n plus 1. You guys see how I got where I went? I'm just kind of going with the factoring here. So the denominator is 2n minus 5, 2n plus 1. Okay, so this is usually how I do these. I will give myself a ton of space, factor, throw them back up there. Okay? The 2n minus 1's cancel out. And you can't factor anything any further because this entire thing would have to share something, the 2n and the 1. It doesn't, so it's factored. n minus 3, 2n minus 5. Now, these are always asking exclusions on the variable. Okay? What can I plug in to make one of these a 0? Okay? In order to figure that out, solve for 0 and exclude it. Okay, remember how we solved for 0 before? And that gave us our values for something. When we solved polynomials, we subtracted, zeroed out, factored, and solved. Well, we're using that same thing. If n equals 5 halves, add 5 divided by 2, I'll end up with a 0 situation. And if n equals negative 1 half, I would have a 0. So n cannot be the two things that create a 0 in the denominator. Those two things would be 5 halves or negative 1 half. Okay? Man, I don't have any of the answers for these. Oh well. 19. 21. Next one. I am going to turn just to make sure. If I make an arithmetic error, that'd be dumb. Hang on. So we are on page 248. Stalling. Negative half and 5 halves. Is that what I have? Yes. Okay, those are your exclusions. That's what you're excluding. Okay, so the answer you're going to give me is this, but n cannot be 5 halves or negative half. Because if it is, then that will make the denominator 0, and you can't have 0 as a denominator in a fraction. It's nonsensical. 21. 3x squared plus 6x is the top. 6x squared plus 7x minus 10. Can you guys probably factor the top without me really doing anything? Yeah. 3x, x plus 2? Yeah. Okay, if you need to write it down and work it, that's fine. But I saw that 3 and 6 shared a 3, and I saw that x squared and x shared an x. Therefore, I pulled that out, giving me this as the result in the numerator. The denominator, unfortunately, isn't quite as easy. Factors of negative 60 whose sum is a positive 7. So 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, 5 and 12. Right? 5 and 12. So if my 5 is negative or positive and my 12 is negative, when you add these two together, you get a positive 7. And when I multiply them, I do get 6 times negative 10, which is negative 60. So 6x squared, negative 10. Put the 5 next to the 10, because 5 and 10 are factorable. And put the 12 by the 6, because the 12 and the 6 are factorable. Okay, you guys good with that? Group. 6x, x minus 6, plus 5, x, that should be a 2, minus 2. Stop me if I do something stupid like that. So, 6x plus 5, x minus 2. Well, that doesn't seem to help us. The x minus 2 is close, but not exactly the same. But then I have a negative x and a positive 2. 21. Let's see if I made an error. I don't think so, but 49. Negative 12. Positive 5, it should be a positive 12 and a negative 5 because it's positive. Ah, man, I can't believe I did that. Positive, I had that right. Positive, negative. So everything's backwards. 6x, gummit, minus 5. So, negative 5 and positive 12 do give us a negative 60, but you have to have that positive 12 to make it a positive 7. So, now I have it factored correctly. So it's 6x minus 5 and x plus 2. Okay, and I'm going to put that over there in just a second. I just want to make sure. 21. Yeah, silly. 6x minus 5, x plus 2. Dumb mistake. Okay, x plus 2's disappear. So your answer is 3x over 6x minus 5. But what must we exclude? Anything that would make 6x minus 5 equals 0 or x plus 2 equals 0. We have to use both. You can't just say, well, all I have left is 6x minus 5. Because in the original equation, it includes the 6x, or the x plus 2's. Okay, so we're going to add 5 and divide by 6. So 5 6, negative 2. If x is 5 6, or negative 2, it would create a 0. So these two numbers must be excluded. Okay? That and 100 today. Lost my pen. 23. Oh, found it. 10 minus 3a minus a squared. Right off the bat, I'm going to do a little work to this. A squared minus 4. Okay, look at that top thing. I hate it when the item that is squared is at the end. So I'm going to put it at the beginning. Negative a squared minus 3a plus 10. Okay, right now I'm not even looking at the bottom piece. Now, the a squared being negative is also a pain to deal with. Pull negative 1 out. Negative 1 times positive a squared is a squared negative. Negative 1 times positive 3a is negative 3a. And negative 1 times negative 10 is a positive 10. So what I did is I rearranged it, pulled the negative out so that the a squared is a positive. Okay? Factors of negative 10 whose sum is positive 3. It's going to be 5, a minus 3, and that negative 1. Okay, so 5 and 3, 2. 5 and 2 is a negative 10. Positive 5 and negative 2 is a positive 3. Okay? The bottom is a what? What kind of pattern is this? Difference of squares. Good. A plus 2, a minus 2. Now we've got some stuff that matches. Boom, boom. So it is a negative a plus 5, a plus 2. And you could just leave that negative hanging out there, just like that. Now, what would be excluded? Something that would make this or this a negative. I mean a 0. What would make a plus 2? Correct. So a cannot equal 2 or negative 2. Because if it were, then one of these would be negative. And if one of these were 0, one of these were 0, then the product would create a 0 in the denominator. No can do that. That's 23. Are you guys doing okay?
Yeah, the only other one I have a question is 27.
All right, do you guys want me to do 25 or just go ahead and skip to 27?
27.
Okay. Griffey, are you good with that? Okay. Yeah, 25 was like an easy one that they stuck in there. Kind of weird. 27. Here we go. R squared minus S squared over, big one, 4R squared plus RS minus 5S squared. Now I already know the top is R plus S, R minus S. The difference of two perfect squares. But the bottom, the bottom. Factors of negative 20 whose sum will be a positive 1. 5 and 4. Positive 5 times negative 4 does give us a negative 20. Positive 5 plus a negative 4 does give us that coefficient of a positive 1. 4R is going to come out of the first piece. R minus 1. Oh, good. Lovely. R minus S. And positive 5S. Oh, my goodness. R minus S. Boom. Okay. So, 4R and 5S are both being multiplied by R minus S. Everybody good there? That's as far as you can take it. 4R plus 5S, R minus S. Okay. Boom, boom. What in the world do we exclude? Well, this is a tough one to explain what you exclude. Because you're solving for multiple variables, I'm going to try and see what they have.
Wouldn't it just be a can't equal each other?
That's the one. Yes, you are right. So here's your answer. Okay? So this is the answer. R cannot equal S. That is the first exclusion. And in order for this 4R plus 5S equals 0, in order for that to happen, that one's really, really hard. If you solve for R, or s, and I'm going to do that really quick. Here, I'll just show you. 5s, 5s. 4r equals negative 5s. You guys see that? Divide by the coefficient, divide by the coefficient. R is equal to negative 5/4 s. Okay? In order for this to be a 0, R must be negative 5/4 s. Therefore, not only can they not equal each other, but also R cannot be not negative 5/4 of s. That's really difficult though. But if you're ever faced with a situation where there's two variables, Ashley, you were right to right away see that they can't equal each other. That one was easy. But this one here, you've got to solve for a variable. If there are two letters, obviously, I usually choose the one that's earlier in the alphabet. That's why I chose the R. Subtracted 5s and divided by the coefficient of R. And that's how I ended up with the exclusions of R being, can't be negative 5/4 s.